When did our beloved nation Nigeria suddenly become this theater of contending grievances, contending anxieties, and contending and mostly self-serving narratives of victimhood and entitlement? For those of you who are old enough to remember, I'm sure you will agree that this country was not always like this. This downward slide was not always our inevitable trajectory. This decline in our fortunes was never our default setting as a society and as a nation. At independence in 1960, the promise of Nigeria shone like a million stars. It illuminated the political horizon of an entire continent and inspired hopes of an African resurgence after so many decades under European colonization and slavery. Back then, our leaders and our people clearly envisioned the prospect of our country taking a rightful place in the Committee of Nations by virtue of our wealth, power, and influence, not just as a force to be reckoned with, but also as a potent symbol of the imminent ascendancy of the black personality upon the world stage and the validation of a unique Afrocentric ideology, worldview, and solution to global challenges. If anyone had told them back then that almost 60 years on, Nigeria will still be mired in the dungeon of underdevelopment, that she will still be grappling with the most basic and existential issues of hunger, poverty, ignorance, and disease, as well as the latent hostilities and destructive contentions that arise from primordial attachments to tribe, religion, and socio-economic background as a barometer of identity and coexistence, and that Nigeria will trail far behind many of those countries with whom she began her journey into post-independent nationhood on most, if not all, of the globally accepted indices of human development and socio-economic competitiveness. Our leaders and our people will have found it hard to believe, for they knew even back then that this country had the resources, the capacity, and indeed the God-given rights to not only dream big dreams and dare great things, but also to instill in our people a belief in the actualization of those dreams. There was nothing in our land, or in our waters, or in our climate, or indeed in our physiological and psychological makeup as a people to suggest that we are going to fall so far down. And yet, that is the reality that stares us in the face today as Nigerians. Over the years, as we see our resources dwindle by the day, and as we see our hopes shattered, we have learned to lower our expectation of our government and what it ought to be for us. We have learned to lower our trust in our neighbors. We have learned to question ourselves as individuals. We have learned to diminish our worth as humans. We have learned to denigrate our values. And we have learned to doubt even our own capabilities. Nigeria's terrible reversal of fortunes in just over a half a century of existence as a nation did not just come upon us like a thief in the night. Our situation today is a culmination of prolonged crisis of leadership and dysfunction in governance. A crisis and a dysfunction arising from weak existent institutions and from a flawed constitutional framework that allows the powerful to get away with serious breaches of the law and the demand of basic society decency, while punishing the weak and victimizing the innocent. It is a crisis of leadership and a dysfunction in governance that cannot be allowed to continue any longer if we are to survive at all, let alone succeed as a nation. Nigeria needs a different model of governance today. Nigeria needs a different kind of leaders today. A leader who combines integrity with intelligence. and a deep and vast understanding of the implication of the 21st global political economy and Nigeria's place in it as defined, for example, by the Global Competitiveness Index of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Nigeria needs a leader who combines a no-nonsense strength of character and the moral authority to get things done in an efficient and timely manner, with the compassion of a mother of our children, as well as for the weak and the downtrodden in our society, along with a burning desire and a practical agenda to change their lot. At this critical point in our journey, Nigeria needs a leader whose own personal life journey over the years in the service of God and man is capable of inspiring a generation of Nigerians to imbibe habits and carry out actions of distinction. A leader who will inspire people to build communities of excellence. A leader whose example will move people to resolve the contradictions and contentions that threaten the corporate existence of our dear nation today, and set her on the path to become a leading member of the global community of nations, able to interact with other nations with understanding, confidence in ourselves, and respect for all. Nigeria needs a leader who, along with patriotic citizens, wherever they may be, will stand at the vanguard of an economic as well as an ethical revolution, along with a new sense of identity, citizenship, and civic duty among our people. I believe with all my heart that I, Elishama, Rosemary Ide, I am that leader.